Hello everybody, I hope you're having a wonderful day, and today I would like to share with you guys that now that we are in the new year 2024, I want to share with you guys what I hope to see come out of this hobby in the new year. I have a butt ton of knives to share with you guys, just to talk about. I'm gonna have some stuff just so you guys have something to look at, except for a stupid gray mat. So stuff like this, right? Stuff like that. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're going places. Okay, maybe a little bit of titanium and some USA made stuff, right? Things like this. Kind of doesn't really fit on screen, but these are just a very small portion of things that I would like to talk about. So I guess we could just start talking about what I would like to see come out of it when it comes to QC and just different designs, different materials, fit and finish. What companies do I think are actually going to run this new year? And that's pretty much it. So we could start with Kubey here. And I only have one Migron, well, premium one. I actually do have a Mayaro, which is the budget one that really got them going. So this guy right here, this is my dedicated gardening tool essentially, and it's held very well actually. So that thing's awesome. These two companies are ones. Oh, actually, there's another one. But there's a couple little nitpicky things that I have. So you can set this stuff over here. Bring this guy. Oh yeah, that's out here. This stuff. So these is by Remet. We have Kubey. We have Migron. So these are the three brands, smaller brands, that I believe are going to really make it this coming year, because what they brought to the market just in this last year has been absolutely incredible. And the stuff that they were pumping out towards the end of the year, mainly Migron. Migron has been doing some crazy milling on their scales. Their fit and finish work looks absolutely beautiful. And while I have not been able to handle stuff, I've been able to appreciate a lot of stuff coming from other channels. So when other people get review samples, I watch their content, I interact with them, I ask questions and things like that. And eventually I would like to get more stuff, some more premium stuff from Migron. Eventually, I got some financial stuff going on right now. But I do definitely think that Migron is going to make it really big this year. They're making waves when it comes to premium stuff. And again, this is my only example of a premium Migron knife. I did purchase this on the secondary from JD for EDC, another wonderful individual in the reviewing side of the community. He did put skiffs in here, and I'm pretty sure he sent along the original bearings. So that was a nice little plus there. But again, this being my first one and only premium one that I've checked out, the way that they finish their titanium versus the price, the couple little things that they do in the sense of finishing work, I think there's more value in Migron knives than there are in WE knives, which I know could be a little spicy to say, but there are a lot of WEs that when they were offered at this price, as simple as this is, they didn't look like this. They weren't finished like this. Even at this price point, this being, I believe, sub $200 or just around, WE is still putting like G10 and micarta and other stuff. A lot of the times when a simple design is just popped out of WE Knife Co., it almost has a $300 price tag, and they don't really do anything fancy with it. And honestly, there weren't too many things this past year that really caught my attention. But what this reminded me of was when I got my first like full titanium WE knife earlier last year. I think it was the year before, I can't remember, but this reminds me of that. But for some reason, this just feels better. And the difference in price versus what you feel and what you think about it once you have it and are using it, that sting of purchase because of the actual price and what it actually costed you, it wasn't there with this. There was no sting. There was no, ooh, that was a lot of money. I guess this thing is pretty good. A lot of the times, I kind of had that going through my mind when I got a new WE knife, where I was just like, oh yeah, it was 200 plus. It's pretty simple. It feels good. It looks good, but it's not this. And this is beautiful. And what I mean by this is contoured. This is rounded on all sides. It has micro milling on the face and the lock side. And internally, well, I can't show you, but there's diamond texturing on the weight relief holes. That's just Migron flexing with that, which I think is absolutely insane. And I think it's funny that there are new models after I said that when I made content, talking about the diamond tie milling. They actually released, I think, 2 other models with diamond texturing or knurling on the outside, and oh my gosh, I basically was just salivating. That was absolutely beautiful. Those are things I would like to pick up this coming year for sure. And of course, they're still pumping out plenty of good value, budget-oriented knives. Now, they are taking a step back from the 14C28N, and they're bringing some stuff with D2 and a wire pocket clip. But I really hope that they go back to the 14C28N or even pick up some Nitro V. That would be cool. It is very similar, right? And then the mill titanium pocket clip, which is really cool because the budget side of Migron is really supposed to go head to head with stuff from Civivi. You won't get a titanium clip with Civivi. They're optional for like 15, 17 bucks that you have to purchase somewhere else. But it's an option, so it's out there, but it comes standard on a good bit of their models. Maybe not the latest ones that they put out towards the end of the year, but I hope that they go back to this because this is absolute value. This thing is freaking sweet. So there is that from Migron. Now, Kubey. I only have 2 premium Kubeys at the moment, and good thing because if I actually purchased all the premium Kubeys, I would run out of room in my little box over there with all my knives in it. But I think this is a healthy amount of experience from their premium side. I've had maybe 3 or 4 budget Kubeys, and they were excellent. They were on par with what Civivi was doing for less than what Civivi was charging for their steel liners and G10 and budget-oriented blade material. Significantly less, so there's a lot more value, and I think that these brands know what they're doing, which I think it's really cool. Now, I'm not here to talk all this crap about Civivi and WE and Senka or anything like that. They're a company that started small a couple years ago, and they've made it big. Now they're charging more for their stuff because of their name, right? That's just what I kind of see standing, in the hobby. So I'm not super immersed into what's actually going on the inside, but from what I see as a consumer, a reviewer, and a hobbyist, collector, I suppose, it almost seems like last year or the year before was really like the value, the sweet spot for WE knives, and they started doing a lot of crazy shit. Some of the stuff that they put out was just straight up butt ugly, but that is of course a visual subjective thing. And they just became very experimental, and they were doing a lot of weird stuff with blade shapes and designs and milling patterns, and they would forget this, they would forget that. There was a couple little things that just kind of slipped through because they were just trying to do something spicy. They were trying to do something cool and weird and trying to stand out, and I get it. As a company of that size, you want to be able to put out stuff that can maybe hold some, some relevance or bring something new to the hobby, but it's like they were just putting anything that ever came across their project design board of potential things to bring to the market. They were just like, yeah, you got that? Okay, yeah, let's just put it into production. Let's make 1,000 models of it, call it a limited edition, and upcharge an extra $100. Maybe a little bit less than that, but that's what I saw that WE Knife Co was doing. So you guys didn't really get to see a lot of WE knives this past year. Would I like to pick up some more this year? Of course I would. There are plenty of things that I missed last year that I wish I had the funds for, You might see them this year, I don't know. But I'm really hoping that We Knife Co. is actually gonna kind of take it slow, take a little bit more time, and actually read the room, learn about the hobby and what people actually want, and just work on their pricing, because some stuff just doesn't really make sense. These here make a lot of sense, a lot of sense. There is absolute value in these two models, and this, the Vagrant right here, I got it on a sale, as well as the Titanium Titty, the Titus, whatever you want to call it. So I got these on a sweet deal on White Mountain Knives. Well, I think I got this directly from Kubey, and this from White Mountain Knives. This doesn't even have a review yet, but I'm gonna tell you guys that this is basically perfect. I have nothing really to complain about. A couple little improvement nitpicks, but as is, it's basically perfect and has absolutely blown me away. It is on the smaller side, a little bit more compact. Really only one grip position because there's no forward finger choil like you would have here, but there's still plenty of value. There are differences here, so not just in size and dimension, but here you have contoured, beautifully micro milled titanium, but a 14C28N blade, which we know to be the higher end of the premium side of blade materials. It's still stuff that's good to go, and it's highly recommendable. It's easier to heat treat on a mass production level, which is really cool and also very important, because consistency is very important and appreciated by the hobby as a whole. Now, this guy here is flat scales, right? No contouring, no fancy stuff going on. No micro milling, again, nothing fancy, but you have S35VN, which is what I would consider the entry mid-grade of premium blade materials. It's good stuff, it's good to go. To my knowledge, it's stuff that's also easier to heat treat on a mass production scale, which is really cool, and I'm glad that they're working with it. But there was a little difference in price between the two. I think it was only maybe like a $25 to $30 difference at like full price, like full price. But I got this guy for I think like $100. I think I got this for like $101 from White Mountain Knives. And these two, there is so much knife, there is so much fit and finish to love and appreciate when it comes to Kubey. Mark my words, if I were to ever actually come up with a design, this would probably be the company that I'll reach out to first to put anything into production, because the way that they just finish their stuff, it feels good, it looks good, it operates well, and they're working with cool materials, and they've proven time and time again that they can just make it work for a lower price point, which is really cool. If We Knife Co. were to make something exactly like this, guaranteed it'd probably be, even if it still had the budgety blade material, probably be like $80 more. Honestly, it would probably be like $80 more. This thing, S35VN, a titanium frame lock, flat scales, nothing crazy, $200. $200 all the way. That's what we would do. That's the best that they could probably do too, even if it is on the smaller, more compact side. Maybe 180. So $200 was maybe a stretch, but you know, with inflation, knifeflation, you know, it hit this hobby pretty hard, honestly. At least for me, being a consumer, and then a reviewer second. Yeah, I could definitely see some stuff, you know, inflation taking over the hobby a little bit, but that is pretty much it. These are the kinds of things that I would like to see come out, positive things that I would like to see come out of this year. Now, let's talk about some negative stuff, and then we can talk about some positive stuff again. I have a lot to talk about, actually. So, this is my only Best Techman. And, well, this is the Good Boy, a design by Keanu. Now, my particular unit has not failed with the button lock, has not fallen apart, has not imploded on itself like it has on other channels, and I'm sure you guys know who I'm talking about. Metal Complex has provided like 10 review samples for free, which good for him. The company is trying to show him and you know, through him, the community, that they can right a wrong, but clearly they could not, because even still, after multiple attempts, the knife was still failing under light to medium spine whacking, which didn't really become a thing until like the beginning of this year. I remember a lot of people, myself included, were doing a lot of spine whacking when the Vosteed raccoon, you guys remember that? The Vosteed raccoon? Of course, because they've made like 30 different variations of it. But when the Vosteed raccoon first came out in a standard button lock, very similar dimensions to this, and also this WD-107 here, yeah, that Vosteed raccoon failed on multiple people's channels. It's all over social media, and it just kind of sucked. Now, again, I got lucky. I don't know. I got lucky, and mine survived. Eventually, I sold it off to be able to have funds to get whatever it was that I got. But so this, the Good Boy, at least my unit, is perfect. It's essentially flawless. I got nothing to complain about. It's good to go, even if it is D2 blade material. Zero rust. It's seen plenty of use. It's seen like 3 sharpenings at this point, and it's just great. I absolutely love it. But this is an example of essentially a failed knife within this hobby, because after a channel like Metal Complex puts out a video, like 4 different videos showing that this particular design is failing one after the other, it's dead. The design is dead. People are not going to buy it. You'll probably see in the near future, very near future, that the Good Boy is probably going to come out with either version 2, or maybe move up into the Best Tech line with premium, a little bit more upgrade in materials, maybe different sizing, a mini or an XL. I don't know. It's already actually a pretty large knife, but I think that there is still life to this design, and Best Tech has proven already that they can do a button lock right. Just maybe not this one. And they probably made a shit ton of them to the point where they're just gonna have to take a loss. And this year, I really hope to see the companies, at least through their social media platforms or something of the sort, talk about their processes for fit and finish, and like kind of like endurance testing for some of their more delicate, man, it's hard to say, because to say a delicate lock, because it isn't. I've handled many robust and essentially bulletproof feeling button lock knives on the channel, but yeah, it's the one that fails the most. It's going to be the first locking mechanism to fail, really. It's right up, it's probably the locking mechanism that's right above a double detent knife, which is really embarrassing to say, but a lot of tried and true locking mechanisms, like a standard liner lock or a frame lock, or even you know, spring or omega spring locks, those are miles above in actual strength and, I guess, just ability to hold up to proper or inappropriate use, right? And we've all experienced, at least most of us have probably experienced, having a sketchy knife, or maybe something that you don't feel super confident in. Even myself, knowing that this knife is good to go, it did make me feel some kind of way after watching Metal Complex's multiple forms of content on this design. So I love this thing. It's great for what it is. I think it came at a wonderful price point. Do I wish that it was not D2? Yeah, of course. But I hope to see that companies really crack down on their fit and finish work when it comes to newer locking mechanisms, and not just slap things together, make a million of them, and then, you know, say that they're going to fix it and then not actually fix it, because they're still selling the same knives that are having issues. So it's like, all the ones that are out there, if you see them on Amazon, they're probably old stock. If you see them on Blade HQ, they're probably old stock, and it's not very encouraging. So eventually they're going to be maybe recalled or brought to a low price point on a sale or discontinued sale. I hope to see a version 2 with the lock just beefed up and actually fixed. So I would love to see this company actually work on that kind of stuff. So and these guys, Remet, this is a company that I have made a lot of content with because they're probably the most community oriented like overseas company, like the small overseas company, and a lot of stuff has actually impressed me. I've been able to check out damn near everything in their line. Some stuff was sent to me for free a while back. I've been given discounts to be able to bring stuff to the channel, which is very kind of them. If I was a much larger channel, they would probably just send me everything for free, which would be cool. But it's okay. I like them enough to be able to spend a little bit on them, right? A lot of the stuff that really got them on the map was their budget stuff, which is cool. So honestly, if I were to do something, I would probably make a budget first and then a premium. There's more success that way. It just makes sense. I think it's really stupid when companies or designers put out a multi-$100 design and it flops in multiple ways because they didn't take enough time to actually put it through testing, and then come out with a budget one. For example, like this guy right here, the Vision FG, the premium one. I didn't even bother getting the actual premium one, but this is the budget one, and it's absolutely great. And I don't need to handle the premium one because I've been able to experience it through other channels. That's why honesty, transparency in the community is very important, because it keeps people from wasting their hard-earned money. So, but Remet is a company that they listen. They actually listen to people. They reach out and they talk to people to see like what they can do. Now, if this looks familiar, this is the Remet Rhino. They actually sent like 3 review samples to Metal Complex, and I think other channels as well, showing that they actually changed how their lock is. Now, this is one of the early productions of the Rhino, which is a standard plunge button lock. And my unit is solid. It's good to go. It's staying in the collection. I love using it. It's great to me. But their newer one, I actually want to pick it up because it's actually a button disengaging liner on the inside, which is cool. So it's essentially a liner lock knife, but the button pushes it over. So it's a lot more sturdy, a little bit more solid. You can put a little bit more confidence when actually using it. So eventually I would like to get a newer version of it. I think that'd be pretty cool. Not really to do a size comparison, but just to have it, just to experience it, right? But it's really nice to see that they actually have moved around in the community and actually like doing different things, but not going completely overboard. Now, this is actually one of the knives that, well, both of these in a way. I guess we could talk about this guy first, a WD-107. They made a premium version a while back. I actually have a unboxing and full review of it on my channel. You can go back and check it out if you're interested. They have since updated it, fixed the spring retention, and actually updated the studs to essentially the same shape as these studs right here, which is really cool. These are very nice grabby studs. I love them. As you can see, they have now used them on all of their new stuff that's coming out, which is awesome. So they didn't need to reinvent the wheel, and I think that's what they were trying to do in the beginning, and they realized that, yeah, we didn't really need to do that. So I very much appreciate that they actually pay attention to what the community wants and what actually works. So this thing came around the same time as the, what's it called? As that raccoon from Vosteed. Sorry, I just blanked there on the actual company. Yeah, the Vosteed raccoon. So this is a very similar shape, but it was a premium one. It had shred carbon fiber and full titanium construction, everything else, including the clip. It had like this like blasted, it was their own proprietary blasted finished M390 blade. Beautiful. It was a beautifully executed knife, and I didn't really have much to crap on about it, except for the studs were ugly and the retention from the spring was non-existent. They have since fixed that in their budget one, as you can see here. Super snappy, very healthy spring. Little to no stick even after having it for a while, taking it apart, sharpening it, just, you know, really using this thing. And it does have a little bit of bounce in the close, but it's really not that bad. So they fixed it on the premium one, they fixed it on this one, and they actually, you know, communicate with the community, which is really important. I really love that. Now, I hope that they continue doing that, because this thing came out towards the end of the year, and their fit and finish and the design overall, I think it's wonderful personally for the price that it was brought to the community. But the look, there's a lot going on here, and honestly, this is a very old school style. Just the look of it, the materials that they're using here with the desert ironwood, the way that it's finished, it just gives the vibe that it's a really old knife, just a really a cheap, just knockoff, whatever kind of knife, trying to be something that it's not. But until you read the specs and you find out that it's actual Damascus, it's not just a laser printed print, right, on the actual blade there. It is titanium, it is contoured, it is well finished. There's titanium all over the place, and there is actually some innovation here, which is really cool, the way that they do their hidden pivot. So it's kind of like this little pin that when you set it, moves up or down once you take off the wood scales. There are other channels that have done disassemblies of it. It's pretty simple, pretty easy to take apart. Once you see how it's done, it's simple. It's actually really easy, but it keeps a very clean look. What I would love to see is a updated version of this. So they have proven that they can already do, you know, the premium modern look. This is like the premium old school look. I'm talking like 20 years ago, right? So this would be a ultra premium knife that came out like 20 years ago. So if there are some older people that are watching this, you could, you know, probably attest to that, right? But I would love to see them putting their own take with their own premium models, having their proprietary blasted finish on here, or even doing stonewash. That would be awesome. I would prefer that. But if they did, you know, a polish, that would be cool, I suppose. If they did some sort of modern geometric milling, or maybe just no milling at all on the actual bolsters there, and then doing carbon fiber or some sort of newer age material. Keep the pocket clip, it's good to go. But that's really it. So this is something that I can actually appreciate, because there's a lot of good here. It's just 20 years too late, I suppose. And a lot of people nowadays, unless they're looking for something like this, unless they want something like this in their collection, they're not gonna buy it. Unless, you know, unless they really, really want it, then of course, you know, it's there. But I hope to see a version 2 of this. I've already communicated with them, telling them that while this thing is incredible, you know, try working with more modern materials, at least on, you know, the visuals. So I really hope to see a updated version of that in the near future. I will definitely be picking it up, because honestly, they bring a good bit of value as well. Now, last thing I want to talk about. Very excited with this stuff, with TRM. This Hinderer, the only thing I really want to say about it was that I did see towards the end of the year that they dropped a massive batch on multiple online retail sites of Hinderer, of different variations, different models, not the big ones like the XM24s or anything, but I think they put out a batch of flippers and Spantos and a couple other ones. But they're like the simpler ones, but those are the ones that people love to get because you can modify them, as I did here. This is a base one. There's nothing really fancy or special about it, but I put my own little splash of whatever on it, and I love it. It's unique to me. It's the only Hinderer in my collection, and it's here to stay because I love it. But I would really like to see that you know, more stuff comes out of the company, at least with, you know, ramping up production and you know, difference in customer service, things like that, difference in heat treat, of course, because this is essentially soft wiener steel. It, you know, dulls on paper, but obviously that's, you know, being really harsh on it. It's really not that bad, but you know, this is S45VN, but performs nowhere near what S45VN could possibly do. This essentially being a highly sought after USA production company, you would think that they would put a little bit more oomph behind the blade itself, because this is a knife and it's meant to be used to cut and actually, you know, use. So as is, I love it. I love how it looks. I love essentially everything about it. But I'm glad that I have a sharpening system that allows me to just throw it in, give it a couple little swipes, and it's good to go. So, you know, that's my justification to have that. Now, this stuff, I suppose I could talk about the MSI as well, but let's set that off to the side. TRM, they're freaking sick. I was essentially able to pick up almost every single model of theirs this past year, but the year prior to that, these were rare, super hard to get a hold of. No one like me could ever have the time or the finances to be able to actually pick one up and be ready for when a drop happens. But this past year was the year that I probably worked the most in my whole freaking life. And while the finances were there at one point or weren't there the next, I was actually able to pick up majority of their premium stuff, which is stuff to go like that. So I had the Neutron. It was just a larger version of this. Oh no, sorry. I had the Atom. Sorry. I had the Atom, which is the larger version of this. This is the Neutron 2. I sold that shortly after my content making to get the little one, and the little one's here to stay. I love it. It's beautiful. It's wonderful in use. And even though I give a lot of shit to the pocket clip, it gets the job done. But yeah. So this thing, it's really awesome. I absolutely love it. I've sharpened it already. It's a laser beam again. This, I desperately need to take it apart and clean it. Cause it's just so like, yeah. I don't remember what I was using this for, but whatever it is, got the pivot system really gunked up. So it's not as snappy, but it can be, not a big deal. Just haven't had the time to take it apart and clean it. I still love it for what it is, right? So this is the Shadow, and there were multiple times last year that I had an opportunity to pick one up, but I kept putting it off. I'm glad that I waited towards the end and I was able to get this micarta variation. It feels wonderful in hand and in use. It looks great as well, of course, that being a subjective thing, but there are more and more of these, you know, coming to the market, which is really cool. And if you don't follow them on their social media page, they post all the time when drops are happening. And they've decided to move forward into 2024 with a mindset of, when we got them, we're just going to put them up. So, you know, whoever is constantly stalking the site or stalking their page on social media, they don't have to gear up financially for when a drop happens. So with that being said, what would happen with that is that the frequency of availability is going to go up, but the quantity of what's available is going to go down because they're not stocking up. So instead of making a crap ton of them, let's say making like 300 Neutron 2s, and then making a drop and having their site crash and having many people miss out because they weren't ready for it, or they were at work, or they were busy at a wedding or a funeral or something. Now they're gonna, when they got 50, you know, ones that just rolled off the press, they're just gonna post them. They're not gonna do any crazy announcements, and I'm happy for them. I really am. They make wonderful tools, and they cater to crackhead enthusiasts as myself with their premium stuff. Like their they have like stabilized wood. They have the titanium right here. They may be doing different milling patterns in the future. I think that'd be pretty cool because they've already, you know, shown here that they can make some very beautiful stuff, right? And they even have like fat carbon fibers and things like that. Of course, they're still working with G10 on micarta and doing contouring or flat, but yeah, they're going to be putting out a crap ton more stuff, and I'm really happy for them. I'm really excited to see where they go in the future. This month, supposedly, they're finally going to be making shadows with the lizard skin tie, and they're like $5.50. Do you understand that? Do you understand how incredible this knife is? And then putting that level of titanium, that level of finished titanium on this, $5.50 all day. All freaking day. If I had the money, immediately, not a second would go by in questioning myself whether or not there was actual value in that or not. As an enthusiast and lover of titanium and things that are nice and shiny, I would actually use it. It would not be a safe queen. I have knives in my collection that cost a little bit more than that, and I love using them. But a shadow in lizard skin tie, yes please, all day. I'm very excited to see what TRM does this year, and I'm very happy that they're able to ramp up production and that everything's just going great for them. So I'm really happy for them. Now, Microtech, they got the MSI, right? They also have the Stitch. They're dialing in QC, and actually Original Goat is going to be working with them and making some titanium and aluminum scales. Of course, I did have to purchase a slot for some titanium scales, but Original Goat has not reached out at the moment to share what milling pattern I'd be able to actually get. But that's something, a form of content you guys will see in the future. But this thing, I love it. It's awesome. I hope that they're able to ramp up production on this. I hope that they come out with different models, maybe something a little bit smaller. Just imagine for a second. And while I have learned to love larger knives this past year, I would still like to see around 3-inch or 3.25 or 3 what is it, a 3.3 cutting edge. Just a smaller version of this. I would love to see that. I think it would be very well received in the hobby, because they make a lot of other stuff that floats in smaller to like larger. So if they can do that, they can do it with stuff with the new ram locks, which is pretty cool. So I hope to see that in the new year. I hope they ramp up production, that they really dial in their fit and finish work, because there have been some people in the hobby that have actually been able to get these super crazy fancy ram locks to actually slip, which is a big deal, because all of the marketing behind these knives is that these are like super heavy duty knives that just have a lighter weight handle, right? So this is the FRN one. They made G10 ones. I haven't had my hand on one of those yet, but I'm sure they feel a little bit better, a little bit more substantial than this one. I remember when I first got this, it was really weird to me because the blade felt so heavy in comparison to the rest of the knife. But after, actually, working with it and, messing around with it, I've gotten used to how this thing feels. It still feels very forward heavy because you have so much mass in that blade. But again, I hope that Microtech is able to really crack down on their testing, on their actual QC, and that they're able to ramp up production and bring more stuff to the market with this ram lock, because this thing is freaking sick and I love it. That is pretty much it. I know this was definitely a long one, but if you have made it to the end, thank you so much. I appreciate all your support and your patience, of course. If you are not subscribed, consider subscribing, because I play more videos and content coming your guys' way. And with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.